Hello, so I was talking about corporations, and I want to just say a lot of these corporations that control everything, they do better than actual people. Like, we want to say that there's a person, like one individual person who we can blame, but really it's hidden by corporations and businesses. Businesses that are legally separate from people, even though people make it up. Businesses that can be sued, but again, if I own a company that's like a corporation, you can sue my corporation, but I can still have my own money and my own income and still be good. That's how I know. But some people are sole proprietorships, which is most poor people. Therefore, if they get sued, it's like, oh no, it's going to be detrimental. But a lot of businesses, the ones who are rich doesn't mean that they're the ones who are important. It's the businesses that actually have power, the businesses that have influence, and that's what's more important than the money that a company makes, because we know companies can make a lot of money and then crash and disappear. But we also know there are companies that determine what books go into our schools. Pearson is one, because I remember seeing the label Pearson a lot when I was in school. There are companies that determine what we read on the news, like Disney. There are companies that determine what we're going to eat in a store, how roads will be built. We know these companies work with the government and make up the government as well. And I think that's more important than trying to spot out a couple rich people. And then when you want to see, okay, who's the CEO? Hey, I want to put in a complaint. It's like businesses that are like big corporations and stuff, they don't have any complaint like area. And I've noticed that, like, they don't have a complaint email. And if I'm a worker for a company, they don't have a place where I can put in my complaints. And then I want to talk to the boss because I'm like, oh, well, if I can contact the boss, they'll actually take me seriously. The boss is nowhere to be found. And my letter won't even go to a boss. It goes to some assistant. It goes to some worker who doesn't really know anything and doesn't care, because they're just like, I'm here, I'm getting paid, I don't care to help people. That's out of my job description. But yeah, I just don't think it's about the money. And I don't think it's about one person. Like, oh, look at the rich. It's the Jeff Bezos. Look how much he makes. Oh, look, it's Elon Musk. How much does he make? No, it's not one person. It's the people who you can't even say what their names are. And then there are people who you can't even track where they are and where they live, because it used to be, oh, if somebody did wrong, you can protest at their house. But now they're just like, yeah, people already been there and done that, so we're gonna make it harder for you to even identify us, because that's how we know we're gonna survive and keep having power and control. And so they did. It used to be people could protest in the street easily. Then they expanded the roads so that it's harder to get a group of people to like take over an entire road. Then they made it harder to work and have free time so that people, again, they can't protest, they can't have time to read. Though, oh, hey, we'll teach you how to read, but we're not going to let you have access to different books. And even if you do, we're not going to allow you to act on anything you learn. We're just going to tell you that everything's hopeless and you can try this, but it ain't going to really fight us. It ain't going to do nothing. I think it's really about power, and it's about power in corporations, and corporations hide who the CEO really is. Well, they don't hide the CEO, but they do hide a lot of the board of directors. And even if they're not hidden, it's like, well, I can't email them to complain. I can't just go to their house and protest. I can't just ask them questions. These people are still very much hidden. And it's like, yeah, there's a name, there may be a picture, but there's nothing else there. Like, you cannot contact them and be like, hey, I just went to your establishment and they treated me horribly as a customer. Can you do something? Because I went to customer service and customer service didn't care. I took it higher, that person didn't care. Like, there's not really a way to complain to a major corporation, even a Walmart. I feel like people have complained in the past, and back then it was easier, but now it's gotten to the place where they're like, let me make it harder and harder for poor people to ever just tell us that something's wrong, because honestly, we don't care. And that's what we evolve into, just like not caring. And it's by design. And I think that, again, the mission is to just have us work for these corporations, right? And then produce everything, because the people who are making the lowest amount of money are doing the most work. Like, for real, they are. Like, you have people who write the laws, who determine, and I never voted on this, who determine what language people will speak, how the language will be spoken, how the language will be read, what looks professional, what doesn't look professional, what is beautiful, what's ugly, what's good, what's bad, what's considered a crime, what is considered not a crime, what's going to be taught to your children. Will your children go to prison in the future? What neighborhood are you going to live? What streets are you going to write down? They can determine, again, school books, testing, the structure of school education, universities, what's a good university, what's a bad one. They will determine how to listen to music, like where you can listen to music, what will be a football stadium, what land is going to be cleared out for new houses. They will determine what land will turn, like, there can be a city, and these powerful people can determine, hey, I'm gonna flood the city out and make it a lake, which is what they did with Lake Lanier, which was a black city in Georgia. But the powerful people decided, hey, I'm gonna turn it to a lake. And there's a lot of rich people, but they don't have that power to really shake anything up. There are rich people, but they don't write the laws. The most they do is just play around and be like, oh, well, I just spent my money on an amusement park. Oh, well, I just spent my money on an island, and yeah, we're chilling in the island. But are they really working in government and making laws happen? No, not really. They may be voting on laws, but they didn't write them down. Somebody else wrote it out, and then they said, oh, these are my options. Okay, this seems like a good option. The people who have power, they can make you work without even telling you to go to work. That's what they do. Like, they can make you work without even paying you to do the work. They can make you work without even paying you a fair wage. Okay. They determine if you get health care. They can determine your value to a society. They can manipulate the people around you into hating you for being homeless and for being poor. They can brainwash people into saying you're poor because you want to be. You're poor because you can't do anything better with your life, and you're lazy and you don't know nothing. Like, they sway public opinion. And it's all taught to us to say somebody's shoes are ugly and they're poor and dirty just because they're not wearing designer and they went to Payless or Walmart for something. Whereas rich people, other rich people, they go to Walmart too, and they're like, yeah, these are good deals. And then they still don't have power, though. They don't have power in the system. And that's why I say there's a difference between, like, those who have money and then those who have power. And power and control is the real thing that people want. And they don't even have to produce or work for anything. They make other people do it and then have this power. And they act like, oh yeah, it's because I'm smarter than you. It's because I should be having more power than you. Hey guys, I also want to add that whenever you have food surplus, whenever you have more than enough to go around, that's when societies start having hierarchies. That's when somebody's at the top and someone else is at the bottom, and that's when problems happen. And that's really why our society is the way it is. Like, it used to be you only have as much as you can carry, you only have as much as you need, you eat as much as you need to, and you're good, and you know that, hey, I'm gonna be good in the future, I'm gonna be good always, then that shifted to this mindset of scarcity, of lack, of now I have to compete and have the most power, and I don't care about anyone else. And yeah, that also happened when we transitioned to working for food instead of just hunting and gathering for food. Because hunting and gathering was work, but not work in the way we define it now, which is more doing something because if I don't do this, I won't eat. Or I will have to do this for 8 hours a day because somebody tells me to. And if I don't do this, then oh no, my life will fall apart. I'll lose everything. I want to add that it's about power, not money, because US national debt tops 30 trillion. $30 trillion, y'all. We know the US won't pay that off. England's debt is $2,206.5 billion. And we know England will not pay that off. Yet if a poor person has debt, it's like, oh, let's demand more from that poor person. But these countries even have debt and nobody fucking cares. But the thing is, we don't know who owns these countries. Like, we really don't. We can't just track down and be like, hey, America, you treat me badly, I'ma fight you. Like, there's, where is the America to fight? Because it's not the president, because the president is working for somebody else who's really in charge. We didn't even choose the president. Somebody had a list and was like, hey, choose one or two, and then we chose. But we didn't really have an option to decide who's going to be on that list of who's going to be president. You get what I'm saying? I think it's time we change our relationship with the world around us. This includes how we think about money. This includes how we think about success. And this includes how we think about what does a successful future look like in the future for others, and how we think about crime and blaming people. How we think about who is helping and who is hurting others in our communities. That's all I have to say. Bye, guys.